Most people don't admit this out loud, but somewhere after 30, you start waking up tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Not bone tired, decision tired, life tired. You get through the day, you show up, you answer messages, you keep promises. But underneath all that movement, something feels slightly off, like you're walking with one shoe a little looser than the other. Nothing dramatic, just misaligned. You might even look responsible from the outside. Bills paid, calendar full, work steady. Maybe even better than it used to be. And yet there are moments, brushing your teeth at night, sitting in your car before going inside, staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, where a quiet question slips in. How did my life start feeling this automatic? Not bad, not tragic, just automatic. You do what you're supposed to do. You've become very good at that. Very efficient, very disciplined. You get up when the alarm rings, you push through tasks you don't feel like doing, you tell yourself, just handle it. And you do, every day. But there's a strange side effect no one talks about. If you're disciplined long enough, without checking in with yourself, you can drift miles away from who you actually are. Because discipline by itself doesn't ask questions. It just says, keep going. And keep going is not the same thing as go where you meant to go. There's a kind of exhaustion that comes from effort without direction. Like rowing hard in the fog. You feel the burn in your arms. You hear the water moving, so you assume you must be getting somewhere. But you haven't looked up in a while. I've noticed this in people my age, and, if I'm honest, in myself. Conversations start sounding the same. Everyone's busy. Everyone's just tired. Everyone says they'll figure things out later. After the next raise, after the kids are older, after the next project. Later becomes this storage unit where we keep all the parts of ourselves we don't have time to feel. The guitar, the writing, the long walks, the questions we used to ask. We don't throw them away, we just quietly postpone them, indefinitely. And the strange thing is, we think this is maturity. We call it being responsible. But sometimes it's just avoidance, dressed up in adult clothing. There's an idea I stumbled into a few years ago, not from a book or a podcast, just from watching my own behavior. I realized something simple, uncomfortable, but simple. The mind has its own direction, like a quiet internal compass. Not a big dramatic calling, not fireworks, just small signals. Interest, curiosity, a slight pull towards something, a subtle resistance to something else. But those signals are quiet, and discipline is loud. Discipline says, finish the task, meet the deadline, don't complain, push through. The compass says, this doesn't feel right, or this feels alive. And if you ignore that voice long enough, it stops talking. Not because it's gone, because it learned you're not listening. So you end up incredibly capable and strangely disconnected. You can execute anything, but you're not sure why you're executing it. It's like driving fast with a blindfold on. You feel the speed, you hear the engine, you assume progress, but you have no idea where the road bends. I think this is why so many adults after 30 feel this low-grade confusion they can't explain. Nothing is obviously wrong, which almost makes it worse. There's no crisis to fix, just a quiet question that won't leave. Is this actually my life, or just the one I kept saying yes to? And here's the hard part, the part I resisted for a long time. It's not society, it's not your job, it's not your family or your responsibilities. At some point, it's you. You're the one who kept moving without checking the map. You're the one who said yes automatically. You're the one who told yourself this is just what adults do, instead of asking, do I even want this? That's not an accusation. It's just reality. Because it means something uncomfortable, but also freeing. No one dragged you off course. You slowly walked there yourself. Which means you can also walk back. Not with some dramatic life reset, not quitting everything or moving to the woods, nothing that cinematic. Just awareness. Pausing long enough to notice what you actually feel. And that sounds small, almost trivial, but it's surprisingly hard. Try sitting in silence for 5 minutes without grabbing your phone or planning the next thing. Just sitting. You'll notice how quickly your mind tries to escape. We've trained ourselves to stay busy because busyness keeps us from having to hear ourselves. If you listen closely, there are questions under all that noise, uncomfortable ones. When was the last time I chose something because I genuinely wanted it, not because it was expected? What parts of me have I quietly set aside because they didn't fit the version of responsible I was trying to be? If nothing changed externally, same job, same house, same people, could I still feel more honest inside this life? These aren't productivity questions, they're identity questions. They don't make you faster, they make you truer. And that's slower work, messier, less impressive to other people, but strangely relieving. Because once you start noticing your own signals again, discipline changes. It's no longer forcing yourself forward, it's supporting something you actually care about. There's a big difference between dragging yourself and carrying something meaningful. The weight feels different. One drains you, the other steadies you. I think a lot of us confused endurance with alignment. We got really good at enduring. Long hours, obligations, roles, expectations. We can tolerate almost anything now. But tolerance isn't the same as being at home in your own life. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't pushing harder. It's admitting quietly, I don't actually know what I'm doing this for anymore. Not to panic, just to notice. Because that's where the internal compass starts working again. Not with answers, just with small nudges. This feels heavy. This feels alive. This feels fake. This feels like me. Nothing dramatic, just information. And maybe adulthood after 30 isn't about becoming tougher or more efficient. Maybe it's about becoming more honest. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what you keep pretending doesn't matter. Honest about the fact that you can be disciplined and still be lost. You can move fast and still be nowhere. So maybe the real question isn't how hard you're pushing. It's quieter than that. When you finally slow down enough to listen, what direction are you actually facing?
Be part of the change. Press the subscribe button, like, share, and comment.